obviously, but it doesn't really matter. If you have the long ones, you can circle it around and tie them in a knot. You can do lots of different things with different kinds of bands. So all the different kinds of bands have the different brands. Usually the colors are different resistances. So the ones in these packs are labeled from extra light to very heavy, or to heavy. So each color represents a little bit different type of resistance. So one of the basic things to understand is you want to use a resistance for each motion that you want to feel some fatigue by the time you get to 8 or 10. You know, if you can do a movement, if I can take this band and I can do this 50 times and I don't feel any muscle fatigue anywhere or really just unnoticeable to me, then it's not hard enough for me to get a strengthening response. So when we want muscles to actually get a strengthening response, the muscle has to end up feeling a little bit uncomfortable. So if you're using, you want to start with something light. So if you're using a light one, and I'm just using this as an example, and we're doing a leg movement, and I don't feel any fatigue in the muscle, then I'm going to try to do a different one. And then on the flip side, if I'm trying to do the movement and I can't even move the band or get a good stretch on the band, then I need to make it lighter. Okay? So the other thing to understand about the bands is we want to use the concept of constant tension with these bands. So we don't want to bounce back and forth with the bands at all. So that's sort of like a universal concept to kind of always have a little bit of tension in the band. So if you ever see slack in your band, no matter what the exercise is, then you're sort of resting the muscle. So if there's no tension in the band, there's no tension in the muscle. So we want to keep that taut so that there's always tension on the muscle that we're working. Okay? And then the third thing is just kind of knowing what muscle you're working is important because you want to know where you're supposed to feel the tiredness, right? So I'm gonna demo all the standing ones, and then we'll come up and try them together and get you some feedback. So the first round is these standing ones, these leg raise ones. Now these are very common exercises that might be familiar to people from other experiences, and there's some nuances that are sort of common, right? I'm going to start with the band around my feet like this. Then I'm going to sort of scoop this one like this. So the first one I'm doing is this page, 3-way kicks. Right? So I am holding on purpose because I want to focus on strengthening the muscle. I don't really want to focus on standing on one foot. Okay? So for this one, we're going to do 3 movements from this same configuration of the band. I'm going to kick my foot up in front of me and try to straighten this front knee. The leg I'm standing on, there's a little bit of a softness in the knee, so I'm not totally pushed out straight, I'm kind of slightly bent. I'm going to keep this leg straight, and I'm just kicking it up off the ground. So constant tension in the band, slightly bringing up, knee stays really straight, and my trunk has to stay straight. So I don't want to see this. That's a common mistake. And then this is also a common mistake. Kind of bending the knee. And that's not really getting the muscle. We're working the quad muscle here, so it should start to feel tired pretty quickly. The speed of your movement should be slow and controlled, but not really stopping. Just sort of slow and controlled, like that. Everybody has a different tempo, but like about there. Okay, the second movement, I don't have to move the band. I'm just going to leave it like it is. And I'm going to go to my side. Same thing. Standing leg is soft knee. Moving leg is straight knee. This movement is strengthening the hip muscles on the side that hold our trunk stable when we're walking. Third movement, I'm going to bring my leg all the way around to the back. Same and I'm going to try to pick up my leg in the back. This is the hardest one to do correctly because you're going to want to do this. And not everybody has the hip flexibility to get it back there that far. So when we help you, we'll see where we get. So I don't have to move it very far. If I move it further, I have to do this. And that's not what we want, because we want to use this muscle here. Okay? So that's this whole page. This whole first page. Okay?
So it's slightly different than how you've got it under your foot.
Yes.
You've got it around.
Yes. So, a couple things about that. So, if I leave it around the ankle, it's easier. Okay? There's less tension. It's still correct, but it's easier. So, you'll figure out ways, if you really pay attention to what these feel like, you can figure out ways to make it harder and easier. So this is slightly easier. If I make it all the way under the shoe, that's a little bit harder. Okay? Okay, so now we've got, I'm going to do the one that's labeled hamstring curl and standing march. Like this. Everybody have that one? Yeah. Okay. So I can leave the band the way it is, and instead of stretching my leg behind, I'm gonna just let my toe be back there like a kickstand. Okay? Now with this one, all I'm doing is trying to keep my body straight and bring my heel towards my butt. Like this. Okay? If I do this, I'm not getting the hamstring muscle. And if I do this, I'm also not getting the muscle isolated. Okay? So it's just, you want to think about the thighs stay parallel. So when I lift, they stay parallel like that. Okay? Then I'm going to bring the foot in front of me. And I'm going to do the one that's labeled standing march. So I'm pulling this way. Okay? This helps strengthen the dorsiflexors, the ankle, and the hip flexors. Okay, so by doing that series of 5 movements, you've strengthened this whole hip. Okay? I think, let's stop there and have everybody kind of go through those, and we'll give you some feedback. And then I'm going to start peeling you off 2 by 2 and go through the bird test with you. So you guys can all be holding onto the bar.